my fellow wizards. Tonight on Halloween, as the sun sets and the shadows lengthen, we're going to explore a darker side of the game we know and love. There are hidden cracks and corners where the normally bright, cheerful facade is stripped away to reveal a chilling reality just beneath the surface. So please, settle in and enjoy these 7 bone-chilling mysteries, if you dare. If you venture into the Wizard City Library, you'd never guess that there was something sinister lurking between the many magical pages. But back in the old days, if you turned the music down and your sound effects all the way up, you might have just been able to make out some ghostly whispers that would send a chill down your spine. The words are a bit hard to interpret, but if you listen very, very closely, it starts to sound like the voice might be saying, "Somebody did this to me." Eerily though, ever since the Wizard City graphics update, it appears that the voices can no longer be heard clearly. They have been silenced once and for all. So what does it mean? Did someone die here and then, due to the magical nature of the library, their soul was trapped in the pages of a book? Was someone murdered and tucked away in the deepest bowels of the shelves, never to be discovered? Their ghost calling out after all this time, desperate to bring their murderer to justice? Is Harold Arkleston, the lone librarian, sitting here day after day, keeping a terrible secret? After all, the voice appears to say, "Somebody did this to me." So someone in Wizard City has to know what happened. Is there a killer hiding among the residents and shopkeepers? And did the developers cover up the grisly truth by silencing the voice years later? We may never know for certain. But whenever you enter the library, remember, the voice will always be there, silenced or not, whispering at the back of your skull. "Somebody did this to me." However, there are even more ghostly whispers to be heard if you venture near any of the lava pits in the Dragonspyre houses or even Dragon's Mouth Cave in Gollum Court. Again, if you turn your sound effect volume to the max, you can just make out some more faint whispers. It's hard to tell, but they might be saying, "Find something that can't be found." Are these whispers in any way related to the ones in the library? For our sake, it may be better to never discover the truth and leave this dark mystery unsolved. Mooshu is a world that holds the concepts of spirituality, harmony, and balance as sacred. It's a gorgeous, green, and vibrant place blossoming with life and vitality. But this beautiful paradise holds a dark secret, lurking just behind the veil between this world and the next. Upon venturing into the spirit world during our travels to cure the Emperor of his mysterious illness, we would never guess the true danger awaiting us in the abyss. In both the ancient burial grounds and the Tree of Life, we fought our foes valiantly and returned to the world of the living, never knowing the true danger, never realizing we might have brought something evil back with us, something that was watching from just out of sight. If you stand in just the right spot, you may catch a glimpse of the thing waiting in the blackness, a face that flickers in and out of existence, always staring, always following your every move. It's unclear what this being may be or what it might want, but I urge you not to look too long into those cold, dead eyes. Who knows what might happen if the thing which so clearly wishes to avoid detection notices that you've seen it. Those who look never realize the true danger, even as they step back into the light. So just remember, if you stare too long into the void, it may stare right back. Dragonspyre was once a noble civilization, a proud empire that spanned multiple worlds. That is, until the Dragon Titan and his terrible army wiped out almost every living soul and left naught but ghosts and destruction in their wake. Even the great magic trees of Dragonspyre Academy were not spared. Ripped to shreds or burned to ash by lava, all that remains are the rotting stumps of what once were 7 trees, each representing a school of magic, much like Ravenwood. That is, except for the lively fire tree, Ashley, who somehow was spared the grisly fate of her fellow trees. However, there is one more tree who escaped the destruction of the Dragon Titan, but seems to be forgotten amidst the ruins of Dragonspyre Academy. The death tree remains intact, but seems unable to speak or communicate. It can only grind its teeth and move its eyes, clearly agitated or in pain. It's unclear what its purpose might be, or if the developers simply forgot about it. Perhaps the tree was able to resist death all this time because of its affinity with necromancy. It may have been torn apart again and again, its branches snapped and burned, its roots hacked away, always a sliver away from death. But not quite. Unable to escape, coming back to life again and again just in time for new tortures still. One mystery about this forgotten death tree we can resolve at least: its name. Through data mining, a player was able to find an unused dialogue portrait which reveals the tree's name is corpus, which translates to the body in Latin. And that may be all that is left after all. The body of a once noble tree, driven to madness by its endless torture at the hands of the Dragon Titan and his army. His mind may have simply snapped, leaving only the decaying corpse of the tree behind, near death, but never quite able to die. The Witch Hunter bundle was released in May 2016 and features the eerie Darkmoor Manor, with its grand halls, twisting paths, blackened trees, and dark, murky waters. The Witch Hunter gear itself appears to reference the Salem witch trials, a period in the late 1600s in Massachusetts where many innocents were falsely accused of performing witchcraft and put to death. And to fit this tragic theme, there was a twisted addition added to the otherwise creepy but largely inoffensive house that left players shocked and outraged. As you made your way along the path up and around the Great Manor, if you happened to look up at one of the gnarled trees perched on the hilltop, you would see a lone noose swaying in the chill breeze. It's uncertain why this noose was added or who it might have been intended for. Was it meant to be a deeper reference to the Salem witch trials and the grisly fate so many innocents faced? Or was that hanging tree the site of a gruesome end for one of the many ghosts which can be spotted lurking around Darkmoor Manor to this day? We will likely never discover the intent behind the noose, as after much outrage and criticism from the wider community, the developers removed the noose entirely, though the tree it was tied to remains. When the moon is particularly bright and the conditions are just right, some say you can still catch a glimpse of something swaying in the breeze, but maybe it's just your imagination. In December 2012, a user called Master of Spells posted in the community forum about a mysterious occurrence happening in the pyramid of the Lost Horizon house. So the story goes, a friend of his bought the Dino bundle, which included the house for his younger sister. One night, the sister was up late decorating in the underground section, but stopped when she saw a strange girl standing stock still, just watching. The girl was wearing the full darkwraith outfit, but even stranger, the outfit appeared to be dyed white, when the regular darkwraith gear can't be dyed at all. The sister brushed the sighting off as a glitch, but later a friend of hers caught sight of the ghost girl as well. Soon many people tried to spot the ghost girl, and quickly an eerie pattern emerged. For those who were lucky enough to see her, she only appeared in a certain spot near some purple rocks around midnight and vanished should you exit the area. Her appearances also seemed to be random. As more players joined the hunt, some claimed their games lagged or crashed whenever she appeared. She did more than just stand and stare. She could affect technology itself in disturbing ways. A very literal ghost in the machine. People speculated that maybe she was an unused NPC that you were meant to interact with somehow, or perhaps she was a rare scripted event, much like the unicorn that sometimes appears at the wooded cottage house. Still, others wrote to KI themselves, hoping for an official explanation for this mystifying apparition. According to a post, KI did respond, but stated only that they consider the information a spoiler that they are not permitted to reveal, which makes some believe the existence of the ghost girl is intentional. The most obvious explanation is that, of course, the entire story is made up. There is no ghost girl. The pictures of her are all photoshopped or faked, and KI's alleged response to the matter is just a generic email reply, and nothing more. Players have nothing to fear and will find no one if they happen to venture into the underground of the pyramid at night. There are no ghostly eyes watching from the shadows. Or at least, that's what we'd like to tell ourselves. Best not to linger too long, though, down there in the dark. Digmoore Station in Marleybone is a hub of activity, passengers rushing here and there to catch the next airship, shopkeepers promoting their wares, and even Sherlock Bones puzzling over his next case. In your rush to catch a ship to your destination, it's all too easy to brush away that prickling at the back of your neck, that feeling of being watched. For if the greatest detective in the spiral is at ease here, why shouldn't you be? But if your eyes should ever stray just a bit higher up, above the city lights and noise, you might just be able to make out a shadow outlined against the starry night sky, there at the very top of the Digmoore Station clock tower. The gray figure with no distinguishable characteristics stands at the edge, looking down over the city, observing, waiting, perhaps planning something. It's impossible to tell who or what the figure might be from so far below, but trying to get a closer look is a difficult task too. If you should take an airship ride and try to get a better vantage point of the figure's position, he or she vanishes without a trace, as if they already know your intentions all too well. Of course, there is the official explanation. According to a developer interview with Carl Holbert, hosted by YouTuber The Art of Warlord, the shadow, as they've dubbed the figure, is actually a size comparison model used as a reference when building the scenery. The model was placed on the rooftop during development and eventually forgotten, so it remains there to this day. So maybe we can all relax and just pass it off as a development error, a small mistake left there as a fun Easter egg. But one does begin to wonder, after all this time, if something shifted in the code, if that figure staring out at the bustling city below, cloaked in endless night, ever started to think for itself. So go on, ignore the feeling of eyes burning into your back, that slight tremble in your hand as you pass beneath the clock tower. Try to forget the things standing at the edge of the rooftop, waiting for oblivion to come, the endless watcher in the dark. Sunken City is already a place best left forgotten. The entire area is infested with all manner of horrors, from wandering specters and shrieking banshees to possessed living scarecrows. It's unclear what happened here, whether the city itself sunk into the earth, much like the Death School crumbled away near Ravenwood, or if it was always this way, far from the bright streets of Wizard City, which you can just make out if you look up past the fog and miasma. Were the streets once filled with regular people? When the undead were summoned, did they slowly take over the town, piece by piece, until it was finally abandoned, the houses and courtyards serving as a tragic reminder of a once bustling town, now an empty graveyard? However, there is one specter who stands out amongst the dead, tucked away and forgotten. If you make your way deep into Sunken City, past the first two towers and their respective gates, you'll find her, hidden in the gap between two buildings. She's easy to miss. You might never notice her if not for the subtle, unearthly blue glow she gives off. And you can immediately tell just by looking at her. She's different somehow. Her character model is fairly unique. It's somewhat similar to the Banshees just one street over, with the unkept hairstyle and long white dress, but not quite. Her face is entirely different, with blood-red lips, white staring eyes, and a terrible expression filled with despair. It's as if she's tucked herself away from prying eyes, trapped down here in the dark, all alone in utter misery. And there's no way to interact with her. It's as if she can't or won't see you. She's clearly not one of the regular undead who roam the streets, which makes me wonder, could she be perhaps a resident who died when the city sank into the ground, or perished during the onslaught from the undead? When the city was abandoned, was she accidentally left behind? There are other strange figures dotted here and there, like this ghoul peering out a window on another street. He appears to be looking toward the sky, perhaps searching for something. Is he trying to find the sun, or catch a glimpse of the bright city streets above? Are there even more lost souls trapped here in the empty houses and streets? Maybe they have unfinished business or suffered particularly tragic ends, so their souls cannot rest. Whatever the dark truth, perhaps it is best to leave these pitiful shades alone to their eternal anguish, lest your soul too becomes trapped in this cursed place. Lock the gates and try to forget. Leave the city to the dead. Alright, my fellow wizards, those were 7 terrifying hidden mysteries in Wizard 101. I wish you all a very happy Halloween. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing, and as always, I hope to see you out there in the spiral, and happy questing.